Hey everyone, today we'll be looking at Season 60 starting path. So normally in Warships, there are a lot of different paths you can take. Some people just want to have fun, some people want to unlock the full tree, some people want to rush ahead to a cool troop. That's fine, but we'll be focusing more on paths designed to rank up early, because there's usually a reason why top players can get ahead so fast, and a large part has to do with the path they choose. Everyone has the same tree to start with, but depending on what you unlock and when, makes a big difference. So here we have roughly the first half of the tree, and one of the two main paths you can use any season is the rushing to some key offense or key defense. So in this case, offense could mean strong troops like heavy choppers and seekers. We have both those at 4 ER, so that might be something an offense path would focus on. And then the defense path, well, it can pile up on getting defenses. And this usually means buildings that are either on the main path and off path, and prioritizing them over other offense. And in most seasons, that's where the balance lies. Either you choose an offense to focus on or a defense path. And depending on which you choose, they might have different times, which one is strong and one is not. But I think generally both can work out at the end. Now, regardless of what path you choose, there's usually some tech each season which you don't have to get at all. And most times you want to unlock every defensive tech in the tree. So this includes major defenses, mines, multi-nodes. Probably want to unlock most offensive tech you're going to use, strong troops, maybe at least one hero, and also boost nodes. But if there's one thing you can skip is troops you're never going to use. So that's why early on in this tree, so in this tree I think you can skip cryos, for example, because they're not generally a strong troop or used a lot. Medics might also be an option, and I'd even say tanks. Since we have strong troops early, like HCs, Seekers, even other ones like Heavies and Zukas on the main path, other troops that are a bit more separated, if you can skip them, it lets you use those keys for other stuff that's stronger. RCs are a tricky option because generally they are a strong troop, but since we have HCs and Seekers also not too far off, they might be a better pick because they're both stronger and faster. Also, we don't have shock bombs in the tree until after 5 ER, and using RCs without shocks isn't usually fun, especially when you don't have critters to distract, which we also don't have until 7. So in that case, I'd probably skip RCs for now. Maybe there's a chance they'll be good later, but for the starting path, I doubt it. Smoke is another option, and it only costs 8 keys this season, but if you don't really need it, probably wouldn't unlock it. Might be an argument for HC rushing or Seekers or Heavy Rush, but I think it's more of something nice to have than you actually need it. Another piece of tech is that first proto, and this is the first time I think we ever had a proto at 2 ER, even though a grappler or a level 1 DC could be strong. And also look at other tech later in the tree, like that proto costs almost as much as HCs or the building health, barrage, but since it's not on the main path, you're going out of your way to get it. I think it's usually better to stick to the main path and get stronger tech first. So while it might be good a bit later in the season after a few days, I probably wouldn't get it right at the start. And another option is Kavan, which is a first hero we get, but just like with other tech, looking ahead with heavy choppers and seekers, both those are really strong troops and stronger than Kavan even. So while he might be good to get at some point, maybe not for a while. And I think the last piece of tech that might be avoided is one of the paths leading up to that first PH. So you can either go through that penalty on the left, so you have to get rid of one of your boosts, or you can take the long way, which is after 4 ER through multi-nodes, boost nodes, scorchers, and Sparky. And while really long term this might be better since you're not losing any boosts, it costs a lot of keys. And if you want to rank up early, you can't always spend too many keys off path. Even just looking at Sparky and Scorchers, that's 72, which is almost as much as 5 ER. So because of that, I probably would suck it up and take the penalty so you can avoid Sparky and Scorchers for sure throughout the season. And doing what we just did helps narrow down our options for us. So now when you look at what to take for starting path, there's already a good portion of the tree which you know you're not going to get for a while. And now we can start thinking of an unlock order. So we can start off with an offense path and taking out so many options. The only way to move forward is start by getting GBE, getting that multi-node, which probably should be either cannons or flames, because having extra buildings means people have to go through them. And then you can move on to 3 ER, followed by snipers. And here's where the offense and defense paths will probably diverge. You want to go offense, well, TD and medkits can help your hits, so you can go that way. And then you converge back at heavies. Now at this point, you do have the option to go up for rifles, maybe flare, or some other defense. Since heavy choppers, seekers, even barrages at 4 ER, those are usually stronger than things like rifles or flare. So in that case, I would go 4 ER next, followed by Zooks, machine guns, and barrage. And barrage could be really strong at the start, because if you upgrade to tick 4, you can 3-tap an ER, at least if it doesn't have BH. So people might do this to speed up hits. Eventually, people can also counter this by putting 2 ERs closer together on each side, or having them all clumped up. But if you're going offense, I think barding out an ER is pretty strong. And then finally, to finish off that offense path, you would choose between Seeks or HCs. Now I think Seeks are technically faster, so could make this your option. But if you don't want to use them, especially long term, I'd probably just skip it and go HCs, because I think that's also a really strong troop, and having it early, even on day 1 or 2, can put you in a good place for the whole season. Now I'd say that's basically the offense path. And after that, you can probably decide what you want to do, whether get more defenses, maybe get flare to HC rush, or just move ahead to 5 ER. Usually I don't plan much after the starting path, just see how the season goes and adapt from there. That's the offense path taken care of, so can move on to the defense path. So I'd say the first part should be the same, going from GB to snipers, but now since you're focusing on defenses, I think I'd rather get mortars, building damage, instead of TD and medkits. And then we can keep going to heavies and 4 ER, which I'd also consider a defense, because we'll see the deck layouts later, but having a larger space for troops to walk through adds time in a hit. And you get an extra ER with more health, so defensively it makes it stronger. I still continue to Zooks and machine guns, but now instead of going to barrage, I'd look for other defenses. So boom cannons are a big one, because at this point they can kill heavies, even do some damage to warriors, or if you're just free clearing, that's 4 extra buildings to take down. Now at this point, there is other defenses you can get, like building health, or even rushing to 5 ER, but that TD is still important, even for a defense path. So I'd probably get it at this point. It could get tricky again, because after TD, you have a few options. You can go to BH, which is a lot of keys, or let's say just using heavy Zooks isn't strong enough, so maybe you need HCs. Now I have a feeling that at this point you have enough defense that you can get a strong troop, so I'd probably go barrage and later make your way to HCs. But just like with the offense path, you can see how the season goes and adapt from there. But just as a baseline, I think this defense path is what I'd go with. And then it's also important to think about what troops you're going to use. So everyone starts off with warriors, and especially as a rank 1 start, you can try to make them work. Might be tempting to get cryos or medics or tanks because they're so close by, but I think saving until a troop on the main path better in the long run. So in this case, that would be heavies. And using heavies without flare might be tough, but you can wait just a bit, and after 4 ER you get Zooks. And that's usually stronger even without flare. It might be the case where people do pick up flare and just heavy rush. But sometimes a better path has to play a bit of a long game. So if you can save ahead for Zooks, then eventually you're closer to barrage and HCs, which can probably replace heavies for the most part. And you have the choice of using HC Zooks, even all HCs, and once you get flare, you can have the option to HC rush. There's a reason that heavy choppers are strongest troop in Warships. That's because you have all that meat shield power, also a good bit of damage. I think you get like triple the amount of heavies in total. So worst case, you can just imagine it as for every 1 vote of heavies you have 2 more. And if you decide to go Seekers on the offense path, that's also another option. I'd probably only use Seekers because they're fast enough in that other troops can't really keep up with. And then taking a quick look at some decks, you can see why each ER after is better than the one before. So we start off with 2 ER, which has 2 ramps, not a lot of space, but already at 3 you can see how much extra space you get. This is also true for 4 ER. You get a landing that's further away and just more space for troops to walk through. Same trend follows in 5 ER, which you only have 1 landing now, so less options for where you can drop troops, and there's a lot more space to cover. Generally for the first half of the season, I'd say it's better to go to the next ER instead of getting too much other tech. 5 ER might take a while to get to, but I think it's good to keep in mind how strong the deck is. So when you do have to make that decision, hopefully it's a bit easier. That's basically it for general idea for next season's start. I think committing to one, either offense or defense path, is a good way to really get something before most other people. I'll also be posting these paths on Discord, which links in the description. And also for an announcement, we finally got accepted in the creator program. So thanks everyone for supporting the channel ever since we started streaming a few months ago. If you do want to support further, you can put code STONEHEART before making any purchases. It's always much appreciated. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.